Hello and welcome everybody. This is your GM in the Great Barrier here. When last we left off, the Aegis had been able to pick up the crew that was on Fomalhaut. It seemed like a dicey situation because as our teams had left the surface, they were staring down a Vulcan cruiser. They had a moment of plausible deniability with the Vulcan shuttles they were in to possibly allow themselves to divert. Um, it seemed as though it was going to possibly intercept you. However, things got before that situation could truly be settled, the advantage that Shira and Romanov had sowed earlier, sending out a probe calling for whomever was on the other end of that Andorian intelligence channel, came to fruition, and the Apenet, a Carlvor class cruiser, and Shira's old assignment, happened to have showed up and engaged the cruiser. Um, between a few lucky hits on their part, the earlier damage that they'd taken in the corridor, uh, and from the caltrops, just between everything, uh, the Vulcan cruiser was in a pretty bad state, and by the time I believe the captain had rigged up her shuttle right next to a exposed segment of like a warp coil or some sort of reactor line, um, it made the situation seem like quite grim for them. So they were prepared to surrender. Their Vulcan commander, who had survived on the surface, however, despite sudden switching of allegiances, or at least general sowing of chaos on the planet, was unwilling to do so. He gave a self-destruct code, the ship blew up, and you left the planet. Um, Despite that horrible tragedy in terms of the death of the Vulcans, you did not leave
Ha!
empty-handed. Yes, of course. Um, you have most of the information you were hoping for from the place of record, an ancient temple basically built by the inhabitants of Fomalhaut to mark when an ancient alien had relocated a lot of their population to save them from various calamities, apparently like asteroid collisions in essence. Um, it had done so by work of what they described as a great machine. Open and closed parentheses there for emphasis, I suppose. Um, but yes, it is potentially what lies at the end of this map as you begin to put it together, and you have updated your Andorian allies a little bit to this, or at least allies in the moment, who are pledged at least to having you see through whatever this is, because they are at least concerned that if the Vulcans were to get hold of it, then it would all but spell certain doom for them and possibly just a general greater imbalance in the region. Um, that being said, um, there's a lot you still have to figure out with that, and I think that is where we will join our main cast here. Um, and you know what? Screw it. I'll just download this later. The GM realized he forgot to start the recording segment of this. Um, it's been a
What?
few weeks. I apologize, everybody. But I'll just download the Twitch thing later. We won't worry about what this does. So let's just go from there. Yes, thank you, Joe, Overland Gamer there, sending me a hydrate in the chat. Um, so, would anyone like to start us off today? Better yet, I know exactly who makes sense to start off with because I don't know if you watched the archives from last time yet, Felix. You were very subtly given the nod that the Andorians didn't want you in the meeting, so it may make the most sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it may make the most sense to have you start off with what do you think you'd be up to after a long excursion um, on that dusty little backwater.
Well, I think Soral is overdue for some good old rest, so he would take a look at the data he acquired. Some light mental work, relaxation.
Fair enough. Well, let
Like
us.
if your job is doing what you love, you never have to work a day in your life.
Indeed, indeed. Well, as you are making your way down, I think that you would find. Sorry, let me just get through Roll20 freezing on me here very slightly. Don't like that. Okay. So, um, on your way down the hall, Saral, as you're making your way through the primary hall section, you come across one Kara Sloan. The
Is she not in a meeting?
She was not in the meeting last time, or
Oh,
at least she did not stick around past the point that you had left.
fair enough. Great minds think alike and such.
Yeah. Um, so she happens upon you. Oh, hello there, Mr. Saral, was it?
Yes, indeed. But, so, have you had time to recover yet? He asked like 5 minutes after we returned.
I honestly think that I'm going to need a good long vacation after all of this is over, she says, rubbing her forehead. But
Indeed. It's a lot happening at once.
yeah, and a cramped little ship like this isn't exactly the ideal place to do it. I mean, I will grant you the Lily was pretty cramped, but it's also a small ship. I mean, compared to one of your shuttlecrafts, its closest sort of comparison, or one of their shuttlecrafts, she makes the point of correcting herself, recognizing you are not entirely Starfleet, if at all. Compared to one of those, the Lily's downright luxurious, and that's with Natala and a very large birdman. But
Well, they
yeah,
are not meant for occupation.
well, in some ways this ship is, well, I don't know if it's. I wouldn't say that this ship isn't meant for extended occupancy. To the contrary, they seem to be bent on. What was that phrase my mother used to use? Stuffing them in like sardines in a can. As some sort of fish reference. I've never actually eaten canned sardines in my life, and nobody that I've ever known did either. So I can't speak to exactly how packed in it was.
Hmm. Sounds horrible.
Yeah, well, it's not great.
Can only imagine.
Yeah.
Since I'm not welcome in the meeting, I wanted to take a look at the data,
Oh,
if that's of interest to you.
I think that I can get Natala and Fen down in the with the. They've made use of the science lab for us. Would that be okay with you?
Yeah, I suppose.
All right. Well, then, by all means, she says, and she'll walk alongside you. Now that the ship is no longer having to dodge and weave through a system of, or like the relatively cramped star system that you were in, that is to say, filled with so many asteroids and debris, uh, nor are they under imminent threat of whatever the uh, of any sort of like bombardment by any ships to this point. Uh, the general ambience has been steadily shifting to something a little more friendly. Saral, you probably noticed, well, you might have noticed a little bit of tension when everyone got back, but there's a more relaxed feel among the errant crew. Nobody is, of course, at battle stations anymore or anything of the sort. Not that
Yeah.
they, not that the Earthers use that phrasing for their ships or Starfleet, however you prefer to conceptualize them. Um, but yeah, let's go ahead then and get you moved down to the science lab. So let's see.
And I mean, I don't know if Good Doctor would recognize that, but getting back to the science lab is like the whole thing, like Soral pretending to be one of the other Vulcans and running around hiding with guns and everything. That's just not what he's about. So
Well,
getting back into the science lab is like home. I've come home. This is good.
I gotcha. Saral visibly relaxes a little bit more once you enter the lab.
Yeah, as much as I mean, he is fairly relaxed, like for Vulcan compared to humans, potentially not as much, but for Vulcan, definitely
Yeah,
it's rather
yeah.
relaxed.
By all means, get into that a little more. How like, because we talk from time to time about how Saral is generally chill or like not quite as stick in deeply uncomfortable places as other Vulcans, but give us more sense of Saral's demeanor as he gets to the lab, gets to the ship, and like settles into what is his
Mm,
natural work. Just a
I
sense of the
guess a
everyday.
good comparison would be while walking through the ship, he is very much or like very much closer to the picture of Vulcans, like very um uh tense posture, like no slouching at all, stiff, some would call it. Um, and as soon as he gets back to the lab, it's like it's still like he takes care of his posture, but it's much more relaxed and it's almost um, uh, there's a hint of a swagger in his walk as soon as he's back in his element. Um, um, yeah, it's just not a lot of this. How Wilcoms are always portrayed is like this very business official like. Um, and uh, compared to that, he is like when he sits at the desk, he you might find him having him put up his feet on the console when he's reading the data pad, um, or um, or stuff like that. It's just like still not quite as slouching as humans, but not nearly as obsessed with the decorum and everything that the standard would. And when he gets to the lab, it's like there's definitely like a sigh of relief of being home. Um, and he takes his hands that he had like behind his back typically, and just like claps like, okay, let's get this started.
Uh, when you enter the room, Fen and Natala will react accordingly with some warmth to that. Natala's is a more subtle grin, not quite to the full like Denobulan uncanny valley type of wide grin, but something that at the very least wouldn't be off-putting to most. Um, for Fen's part, he has the bigger reaction. Some of that might be he is coming down or dealing with side effects from being sedated repeatedly over the past few hours. Um, oh, good, good. I'm most curious to see where this map takes us.
Indeed, and what else it can tell us?
Hmm. Yes, Natal and I were just speaking and saying something of interesting findings. Well,
Oh,
yes, I can say that while we were focused on analyzing the map, there were some parts of the information that we pulled in that, well, there didn't seem to be corresponding segments on our on the sites that Kara and I had visited previously. This could be that quite simply the wear and tear of time on the places that we visited simply wore away some of the segments, or that they had them placed in other locations, and could have been damage from numerous other causes. Uh, but it could also just be the unique situation that their how their place of record was laid out, how it was protected. Um, there's obviously a great deal more information there, concentrated particularly as far as these ancient. Well, I don't know exactly how I would refer to the people responsible for the machine. We haven't truly named those visitors, I suppose.
Yes. Try to remember if any precursor civilization that we know of comes to mind, but of course, since archaeology is not my field of study, I did not anticipate to come to any conclusion that you wouldn't arrive before me, so I'm drawing a blank. They seem
Well,
to be completely unknown, unless you have withholding something from us. He's asked jestingly, but also like, did you?
yeah. The other scientists around you seem to be equally in the dark on this. I have no sense of whom could have been responsible or whom that aligns with. At this point, there is probably some knowledge of the ancient civilizations. Like there might at this point be legends of like the Iconians or the Takan or other species such as that. Um, I think that the one major one that comes to mind that wouldn't be terribly well known is the Preservers. For those that remember their TNG, just because the obviously being aware of them requires being aware of what they did so many billions of years earlier.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, yeah, there's it's a
Zach,
big galaxy.
um,
As some TNG knowledge here, even back in the TNG period, they were almost a pseudo myth that was barely even regarded as anything but like an off note myth at that.
yep. And
That's why the archaeologist in question was sort of like going on his own.
yep. And I saw your post in the Discord there, Brian. And yep, sure enough, you're also on screen there. Excellent. So, we'll say that in the time that these conversations have been happening, the meeting broke up, and Romanov, you just made a beeline straight for the science lab when you figured that. Well, give me some sense of reasoning. Actually, were you hoping to catch the scientists in the act? Were you going for like moral support for Soral since at least the other Andorians, those that weren't in the crew, kind of made him feel unwelcome? What's your bent? I'd say.
well, okay, obviously support for Soral. She's dealt with Soral a lot, and they've agreed on a lot of topics. And then Wild Horses couldn't stop her because we know that Romanoff is obsessed with ancient archaeotech. So, Wild Horses, Targs, Klingons, they would not have been able to stop her.
To be fair, I think you would also know that Soral would probably not wait around.
Yeah.
Having some time on his hand, being denied in the meeting. He might just do it out of spite. You don't not sure, but it's a possibility.
Well, she was not cool with the idea that Soral was not invited to the meeting. She did not agree with that, but she could not control that. So,
It is what it is.
and she's worked with Soral on a lot of technology, so and of course obsessed with archaeotech.
Yeah. I have to say that Patel has completely thrown me out of my thinking because I cannot imagine Patel in any other way than Kramer from now on.
Oh, that's great. Well, first, just because I love the comedy of the science room steadily filling up, the door opens. Romanov, who I don't imagine has broken a sweat yet, maybe is like breathing just slightly, the slightest bit heavier from, you know, I don't know, sprinting, ninja running, whatever you.
Yes, absolutely. She knows the ship like the back of her hand. She got here as quick as possible.
Yep. Didn't hit her
Imagine,
forehead on a bulkhead once.
Yeah, and
imagine Ro-
she might have gone down a Jeffrey's ladder to get here a little faster. So yeah, she's probably,
imagine
chose some.
Romanov coming in just like, have you started yet?
Well, take it away, Brian, as the door opens and a scarcely out of breath Romanov enters in with all that exuberance. What would you say? How would you have her come in?
She would look at everybody and go, "Hey, everybody, Saral, have you guys started yet?
We are just about to.
I would like to join."
Okay.
Be my guest.
I think that the initial task could actually benefit from engineering, since this is there's a data input element to this. Essentially, well, it kind of depends on what you want to do first. So let's say you have at least three sort of broad tranches of information. One of it is like the direct, what you could guess would be the star map itself, or the component that you found in the place of record, and like characters you think likely associate with or that correspond with the previous fragments that you discovered. So that would give you an insight as to where well, processing that, it won't like end right away, but it would basically or you could get that started and try to get a better idea of region of space.
I mean,
There's
how difficult does it appear to be? I assume it's not as easy. It's just like slotting the new piece that we have into the old calculations
yeah.
that worked before. I suppose that's just not that easy.
So, well, what I'm going to say is you can. I will make that a lower difficulty task, since you at least have a rough idea of what you're doing. The complication might be that you are dealing with ancient Calamese glyphs instead of the other languages that the others had more expertise in. Um, but I will still make that a low difficulty task, and I'm just going to say that you do it, and then the success, like, because it takes time for the computers to process that, even with any particular assistance that Saral personally brings into this, it's basically going to take through like the end of the scene.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll call that the map bit low difficulty, not immediate payoff on that, so maybe a chance to earn some momentum. Uh, there are other supplemental bits of information. Let me just recheck my notes here. Where did I put the third one? So I know that there was like a third element to this. Oh, there are basically there are these supplemental tracks that you could pull from that they mentioned weren't present with the other versions of the map. That might be a slightly higher difficulty analysis.
So, what's the role to start and stuff with?
I'm going to say control plus engineering.
That's a 15 for me.
Let's see. Let me tell you what it is for me. Control plus engineering is a 15. However, I have a focus, which I think would apply, which is reverse engineering. That's one of her wheelhouse things.
Sure.
So, however you want to play it, you are leading the team, so to speak, but I'm willing to make the role. If you want to assist for me or I assist for you.
I mean, I guess like from how the scene works is we both start looking into this with the other scientists present as well, but as we are the PCs, probably it's more
Okay.
us. And you just do your thing.
Okay.
I'm happy to support.
Okay, then I'll do control and engineering with my reverse engineering focus. And do you guys want me to spend a momentum on this?
What's
Obviously.
the difficulty?
Are we doing the mapping task? Or are you looking at the supplement? Are you doing the lower difficulty, like mapping input thing to start with, or did you want to do the more difficult, like supplemental material edition?
I thought we start with the low difficulty, maybe
Okay.
farm some more momentum.
I will call this difficulty of 2. You have a good sense of what you're doing, which would lower this, but it's also dealing with a separate, or the Calamese language is more, it's different compared to what you've had to deal with.
And do we have a database of Calamanese?
Actually, no. You have very, scarce sort of analysis present on their language.
We have whatever we collected from our conversations.
Yeah, we could harvest the universal translator, but that doesn't give us writing.
I won't do anything for that.
I mean, we've also observed writing, the Calamese writing, just not a full codex of it, or
but
a lexicon of it.
If you look at a book in Cyrillic for 2 hours, you're not smarter than before. It's all about what I'm thinking, at least. You know what I mean?
Well, then, what do you think? No momentum, just a straight up roll?
Nah, spend momentum, I would say. You have to spend momentum to gain momentum.
Okay, then I'm going to spend 1 momentum. That's 3 dice. Complication range is 2.
Complication range should only be 1 for this task.
Awesome. I will take that.
There you go, momentum.
Here it goes. Oh. Yeah? Okay, let me roll.
Okay.
And I would assist.
Yep. Okay, that is 3 successes there. Tasking the translator as best as you can to supplement what you are doing, you draw out what seems consistent with in the mapping with likely equations. It's going to take the computer some time to mull this over, but at the very least it can start processing the additions to the star map and what appear to be indications of subspace currents. So that in itself will at least give the computer the ability to start the process. But you realize, both of you looking over this, and indeed the other scientists, this is going to be some time to even give you a complete sense of whatever's going on with that. So as that analysis begins, we have another entrant into the scene. The door opens. Drone, tell us, how is Commander Patel feeling as he enters in? The meeting's obviously just ended recently. Romanov disappeared some ways ahead of you. How did you make your way back here, and how are you doing now?
I think he's walking in, reading a pad, looking down at something in his hand and not really paying attention to the rest of the room, probably expecting an empty or nearly empty science lab in front of him. And I guess when he walks in, he sort of stops and looks up and realizes, oh, there's a big meeting happening here.
And everyone looks at you.
Looks awkwardly. Record scratch.
Yeah.
He looks at his wrist chronometer and is like, "Did I? Were we supposed to be back here? Was there an appointment that I missed?"
No, but we wanted to use the time to look at the data we acquired. You're welcome to join us, of course.
Oh, excellent.
Unless you have to be somewhere else. Like he's not sure. Sarah's not sure because you seem like wandered here by accident.
No, I feel comfortable in my own science lab. This is fine. He sort of awkwardly tries to joke about it.
Good.
But glad to observe or help if I can. Always a pleasure.
Please, the more the merrier, I suppose.
Absolutely.
So he walks over to the console and sees that you're running like a computer analysis, so that the computer is chewing on something right now. Where are we so far? What have you accomplished before I came into the room?
Not much, really. We have given the computer all the data we have recorded, and well, it's all in the local language, so we have to work through that first. Might be a problem, at least for a time.
Unfortunately, my anthropology skills aren't quite on par with the rest of our esteemed guests here. And he looks over to the 3 NPCs.
Natala in particular will give a nod and say, "Well, I appreciate the commendation, but, well, I would hardly expect quick work of this, even with universal translators and all of our modern amenities. I'm used to conducting these studies over a much longer period of time."
Are we under any time pressure? Like more like a player question, but is there anything that is like, are we on any time constraints, or is this just like
So,
whenever?
strictly speaking, you don't have an exact running clock right now that puts you in any risk. There is the more abstract general issue of you have you have all 3 portions of this particular map. You have all 3 portions of this map, of which, besides yourselves, only the Andorians actually have any context for what's going on. The Vulcans, whom are aware of this, also have ships in the area. They're at least, there's some awareness at some level in the High Command that this exists in some form. And ships that were in the battle group that had come after Sloane and the others, they could still be in the area. Besides that, you are presently under escort of an Andorian vessel during a time of war between Andoria and Vulcan. So it's
They're sticking around?
for the moment, the Andorians have not left your side here. And to be fair, you were away during the meeting, but everyone else would know that the Andorian captain has committed himself to letting you see through this mission and try to find out what's at the end of the map.
Do we know why? I mean, again, Soral, don't answer. Soral has no idea of it. Okay.
So, let's see.
Is there any indication on how long the computer is going to take to run its analysis? Commander Romanov, maybe?
How long do I think the analysis is going to take?
A plot convenient amount of time to do other tasks and have other conversations here. You may deem it enough to do other things if you decide to go about the ship. You do have at least another tranche of information to analyze too.
We've got enough time to analyze the other tranche of information. Also, when it's done, we have to be careful with the data because universal translators lean towards humanoid speech patterns and linguistics. And I don't believe we can make an assumption that this is a humanoid communications. That the creatures that made this, we don't know that they were humanoids, right?
That stands to reason. My line of thinking was more along the lines of, do we require a stronger computer to decipher this in general? More along the lines of, would it be a smart idea to go back to Earth?
What do I think? Do I think well, she's going to be prejudiced on this one. No, I believe the Aegis can handle this job.
Yeah. Sloan also chimes in. Yeah, I don't think that taking this information to Earth would exactly give us any better outcome. Or at the very least, it wouldn't comport with what we agreed to.
I'm going to concur with Miss Sloan on this one as well. I say we do it here.
There are some things we can try to accelerate the process or boost the computing power.
I can always add more server capacity to the job, especially since we're not under any kind of orders or situations, as far as I know, unless Commander Patel, you are aware of something I'm not.
No, not anything in particular. Just very much aware of the fact that we're one lone ship out here in a very unfriendly, what has been lately a very unfriendly part of space. Referencing,
Also
of
a
course,
war.
the war, exactly.
I can use engineering diagnostic computers that are not in use now to add additional computer power if we need it.
I'll leave that at your discretion, Commander. Well, then it seems like there's very little to do besides go over the other information while the computer's processing.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yes, it is a most interesting element that we discovered whilst reviewing this. It seems as though there was some component that neither Sloan nor Dr. Natala had seen prior to this. I myself am very curious, as well, I can't help but wonder what the ancient Calamese had to say on this matter.
Yes.
Okay, so with that, I am going to say that if you want to attempt this next task here, it is going to be much more difficult. Very specifically, I'm going to ask you for let's see, that will be, I'm going to actually take this up to a difficulty 5.
Ooh.
Whoa. Okay.
And I am going to call this Insight plus Science.
Difficulty
I
5.
will step back by my new avian friend and let the legendary scientists handle this part.
Can I lower the difficulty?
How would you propose to do that?
With my favorite device that I'm working on.
I'm forgetting. Is there an express talent that would come into play, or
I'm not sure how much we formalized.
Well, let's see. Let me bandy about. Hold on, I'm getting into the machinery of the thing. Clank,
yeah,
clank, gears
I
turning.
think you have the sheet for that. I know we talked about it, but my memory is bad. I have no excuse.
Okay. Well then, let's see. Oh, well, bad news, that didn't save, but good news, I can pull that up very quickly. Okay. So, intuitive analysis, so long there is an element of control to it. Here, I'll send you this here, Felix. As long as you've got your tricorder handy, I think that this would be workable.
Yeah. So in game terms, I don't can lower the difficulty, but I do have a reroll. Can we do anything that might lower the difficulty?
Nothing that
Shooting
comes
power.
to mind expressly.
No, not really. I also is yeah. Yeah. Okay. If we can't do anything to make it easier, then just let's try to crack that. What's your insight plus science, Patel?
11 plus 5.
Then you should take the lead.
Huh.
I
I will
hate to
also
say it.
apologies. I will say off the last task where you started the mapping, that assist did give you one additional success, so you actually have 3 points of momentum right now.
Okay, so I mean, I would be for using those 3 points to give us it's 2 additional die for 3, right?
Yes, that would do.
Could also, if we want to really, really push it, could tap a determination and do Spirit of Discovery for more momentum, but that just makes it more expensive to get that 5th die.
You could also do determination for an auto crit.
Is that always the case, or is that only with a trait?
That's a normal determination use, and you just need a value to
Yes,
use.
so long as you can make the argument for a value, or rather employing a value in this situation, then you do have the option to take an automatic critical success, or what was the other part?
Reroll. You can
Reroll,
reroll,
yes.
or you give a critical success to
Yes.
yourself. The spirit discovery allows that critical success to be turned into momentum and offered to the rest of the group.
That's right. Thank you, Panda.
Yep.
So, how would you like to proceed there, Drone?
Okay, so I'm at 4 die right now. With spending all those 3 momentum, we're getting an assist from Sorrel. Are we using ship systems in any way to give us an extra assist, or is this just on us?
This would right now just be on you right now.
Okay, then I'm going to say I'm going to tap that determination already. If you will accept the value of can't be too excited for exploration.
I like it. I think that's as straightforward as it comes.
Great. And then here we go.
Okay. That is 3 successes plus a complication, plus the automatic critical success. So you do technically meet. Sorrel, did you want to roll? That is 2 there. So you have 2 incoming momentum back into the pool. Before we go too far, let me ask Mr. Patel, do you wish to accept the complication as a narrative issue Do you wish to um, ignore it and give the GM 2 points of threat, or would you prefer to route that incoming momentum to buying off the complication?
I mean, I would be leaning towards buying it off at this point. So then we're just at a clean slate for momentum. If anybody else is fine with that, otherwise we can. I'll take a narrative.
I don't suppose I can use my reroll on his roll, right? I don't think so, but I thought I might ask.
Well, I think at this point we just it didn't seem like you were employing that which would have.
That's fair.
So yeah, I will say no to that
Yeah,
point.
sure.
But yeah,
Absolutely.
but yeah, Patel, whichever one you, or rather Drone, whichever one you are more comfortable with.
Let's cancel it out.
Okay. I will allow you to spend that to cancel it out. However, I am going to spend 2 threat of my own to introduce a complication. If it will come out, please come out. Threat, please. Okay, let's clear off this momentum from the board. Okay. So, you start working through the translation as best as you can. You find that there are some difficulties, though, as the translator begins as the translator attempts to lock on to the roots of the language. There are just a great degree of complications with the Calamese language. That is to say, with the ancient Calamese language. The writing samples that you have here suggest like it is a complex pictographic system, one that suggests some variability in meaning. Thus, I will say, because you've succeeded at the task, you will get the full translation here. And Patel, I will go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and show it or make it visible for Saral and Patel first here, as you see the variable elements, and I apologize that it's not becoming immediately visible because Roll20 is just giving me some minor issues at the moment. Slight loading bar, very odd.
They just loaded up a new tool system, so that may be it.
Well, hopefully that won't slow us down too much. But yes, check the handout section now. You should see something beginning to take shape. How are you? Are either of you seeing? Should be under translation analysis.
He looks thoroughly confused and just looks up at Saral.
This message could go in many different ways.
Saral, is this poetry? I don't. It seems.
I would say more of kind of what's a good word? Manifest? A mission statement?
Prophecy, perhaps?
A declaration of purpose? Well, a prophecy would require a religious background. Nothing we've seen so far would suggest that. I think.
Do you guys want a moment to digest what I've given you there, and perhaps we can bounce around if anybody else has scenes at the moment?
Oh yeah, happy to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think we need to chew on this a little bit.
Yep. And I
And
will
that
say,
is not available to the rest of us, right? They're seeing it first, right?
yeah, I'll tell you what, Romanov, I'm going to go ahead and make sure that you can see it since you are technically there, and I could very much imagine that you are getting a look over the shoulder.
Oh, absolutely.
Yep. As a matter of fact, I could just make it visible to everybody, but I would, well, I want to have it go at least a little in sequence so that, or tell you what, I'll make it visible to everyone, but I'll ask those
I
that
will play the honor code and not look at it.
Yeah, yeah. I figure that if anyone's going to get updated, the captain might at some point, and you know,
Yeah.
best to have that sort of bamboozling thing going on. Anyway, let's go around the ship for a moment and just see what else there is to do. I'm going to invert the order, kind of go up the list here. Um, Starting with while everything else is going on, now that the meeting is out, let's see. So Doctor, I would check in with I'd want to check in with Lambeth first here. I guess first question, Ben, is there anything you think that Lambeth would want to do as soon as he gets out of the meeting and has like a little more time to himself here?
I can't think of anything that that he has that he needs to do.
I gotcha.
Oh yeah, right. He's got his scorpion venom stuff that he could run some tests on.
Yep.
I
And the
that
captain
he's-
is only the captain's only held together on that.
Oh,
Not fully cured.
Yep. We can definitely put you into sick bay.
Yeah,
since,
right. We definitely need to work on that.
Yeah, yeah. Let's see then. Let's get you off the biobed. I don't remember why you were being treated the last time. Man, that was adventures ago. Um, so let's set you into the sick bay
There
then.
was some hallucination stuff going on.
Oh, right.
That was probably the last thing in there.
Yes, yes, of course. Yeah.
The frog is still singing in the corner.
Hello, my baby. Hello, my darling.
Hello, my ragtime gal. For those at all curious about that, check out our immersion episode. That was some good fun there. But let's see. Yeah, so Lambeth will come over to you. Yes, if anyone else wants to be in the scene, there is at least Nurse Marple there if you want that, Craig, or anything else. Um,
Yeah,
yeah.
we'll have Marple hanging around.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry, lost my train of thought there for a moment. Okay, yeah, Doctor. After opportunity to do whatever you needed to kind of reset from the mission, getting into a marginally less dusty jumpsuit, you know, getting some of the cave smell off, or I don't know, tossing away bits of armor. Also treating a gunshot wound because Mora, the Mako that had come with you, did take one to the shoulder. Getting that all cleaned
Right.
up.
Yes.
Yeah. After all of that has transpired,
So he's had a few different things to do.
yeah. You're at the relatively calm phase where you can afford to sit back and think for a moment. And as that happens, your eyes do make contact with the considerable sized bottle that was gifted to you by the Calamese. You recall it contains a vial of the giant scorpion venom.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I guess. Yeah, what information was I able to get from it when I was down the planet? I guess I didn't run any tests on that specifically earlier, did I?
You didn't have like the full range of
So I wouldn't
equipment
have got
that
any
you would have
information.
had. Yeah. I can tell you what you at least gleaned from the tricorder readings or your medical scanner,
Right.
and from looking at how it affected the captain. You suspect that there is a neurotoxin or like something meant to affect either some combination of the nerve system and musculature of whomever it impacts. Lazdi, the Calamese person that you met, um, they told you that there was basically the scorpions, when they hunt, they don't like to kill their prey. They prefer to incapacitate and drag them off to eat them later.
Yeah. So it's a numbing venom, incapacitates rather than necessarily doing anything itself, but I guess there could be long-term effects that I don't know about.
Certainly. If you want to run it through like the ship's labs, you can always give it a more in-depth scan. A success might give you some insight into how you can use it in the future. Since
let's run it through the ship's labs and probably try cross-referencing it with any other species records that we have for looking at similar kind of venoms.
a good idea. I will allow you let's call this reason plus medicine roll. And if somebody is willing to get the ship, I would allow computers plus medicine to assist that.
Yeah, I'll do the ship.
Thank you, Craig.
Okay, reason plus medicine.
Medicine.
And that is 2 successes there. I should have said a difficulty, but I think that with time and with the full array of the ship's resources helping you here, I think that a difficulty 1 would be in order. So that will allow you to succeed and gain back a point of momentum. So
nice.
cross-referencing this through the database. Let's see. Sorry, just one moment there. Okay, sorry about that. Just had to check on something for a moment. Let me get back to that.
No worries.
Yep. Okay, so running it through the database and trying to cross-reference it with other similar toxins, I would imagine that there are a few similar effects that are reported on some planets. There's probably a few that you get some that show more serious ones, in which case there are antivenoms designed to counteract some of the worst effects. This venom is comparatively milder. There's much lower risk of actually killing the subject, but as you were concerned about, there's the possibility that it could have lingering effects in terms of slowing down an individual or like otherwise maybe making them a little less capable of some fine motor skill. Thankfully, the computer does provide you resources to suggest, or the analysis does provide you basically a figure that you could draft up a weaker version of one of the antivenoms to remedy that if the captain's at all woozy still or anyone else that was affected. I think it was just the captain.
Yeah, which I imagine alcohol, in essence, a certain kind of leaves and neurotoxin probably don't work very well together.
It's not great. I sincerely hope the
Yeah,
captain hasn't been taken recently.
Yeah, actually, let's bear that in mind, I guess. We want to use, if I can find an antivenom that doesn't have like a do not take with alcohol kind of thing attached to it, that isn't going to, one that's not going to have too many side effects with a bunch of with like complications with other medicines /
No, I was just gonna say like the antitoxin probably not doing well with the alcohol, or rather the
Yeah.
toxin's not doing well with the
Yeah,
alcohol.
but that's I'm not sure what we can do about that other than just monitor and
Yeah. Well, in administering the antivenom, if
Yeah.
the captain has been drinking recently or has
Which I have been, and or an ale.
Yay.
uh-oh.
which is a
So-
particularly strong one.
So
So
I imagine the captain's gonna come down there in a moment here.
on the plus side, I could probably sneak up on the captain and administer treatment without her noticing. We needed to.
Yes. Well, I'll say that if you want to program that, it'll just be a simple thing for the computer to begin synthesizing the compounds. I will also give you, Ben, that the same like analysis or like files that come up with regard to the venom does suggest that it could be used as a crafting agent that would basically give you an advantage dealing with certain types of inflammatory and like other like bacterial conditions. It could be used with the unique reagents that you have
Okay.
here. You could basically use it, some of it, to like treat certain types of nasty infections, or it may well be able to do very well against anything like that. Any major case of, say, headaches or other sort of unique inflammatory reactions might also be something that this could give you. So essentially, you can note this down for the future, maybe put it somewhere in the character sheet. The venom you've acquired has given you like basically a unique treatment option that will reduce the difficulty in terms of treating future illnesses such as that.
Okay, so like infection stuff mostly.
Yep. Yeah. Since we brought it up there, Captain, do you think that you would like to show up in sickbay at this point?
Yeah.
All right, let me.
Yeah, because if you weren't going to, I think Dr. Lambeth was probably going to come and find you sometime soon.
Yep.
Yeah.
So the door
No,
opens. Yeah. How do you enter, Panda?
she definitely tries to move in a normal command sort of posture, but it's definitely a bit stilted. Not because she's drunk, but because the patchwork is probably a bit unpatched now. So she's probably
Right.
definitely starting to feel the neurotoxin. Doctor?
Captain, I think you'll want to sit down. Not because I've got bad news, but because that'll make it
I
easier
don't
to
need further
administer treatment, I
convincing.
guess.
I don't need further convincing. She raises a hand, kind of waves it off, and goes to sit down.
Take the weight off your legs. So I've
the
got the
legs,
computer synthesizing.
Mhm.
It's
It's not the legs.
Well, I've got
it's
the computer
upper.
synthesizing and anti-venom.
Good.
Yeah, right, upper body. Okay.
It's
Well, get
not
some weight off that as well while you're at
it. She just laughs. All right. Anything else you need to say, Doctor?
Oh, that came out a lot ruder than I'd intended. Wasn't intended to be a comment about your weight.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, anti-venom's cooking up. Computer's working on that. It's quite interesting as a thing. And there are some interesting medicinal uses I could find from it. I'll be able to get from it in future with some tweaks and alterations to remove the more negative side effects, or more negative effects, I guess.
I'm glad to hear it. I'm glad I've helped you discover a new method for medical benefits. But it's not so much my legs as my upper back.
Yeah.
A little hard to keep straight.
Well, yeah, I guess. Well, yeah, here's the medicine from the computer. Weigh that here, drink this. Kind of keep your have a rest. Take things easy. Let me know if there's any symptoms. Let me know anything at all, because I imagine in hindsight, the alcohol's probably not going to play all that well with it. So just keep an eye on it. I've got a hangover cure if you need one, but we'll keep that until necessary, because I don't want to add in too many different elements to your system.
I'm not that bad off, Doctor, but I appreciate it. Could you call over Lieutenant Shira, please? She'll just kind of lays down.
Yeah, goes to the comms. Dr. Lambeth to Lieutenant Shearer. Captain wants to speak to you in the med bay.
I'm on my way.
Yep. It is, I think at this point in the timeline, Shira, you have just escorted your former captain, one Commander Thorlov, through the hatch on the right side of the airlock, and the two ships have begun to disconnect and are maneuvering to stay alongside, but to free themselves so that they can both can proceed at warp to wherever their next destination may be. But yeah, suffice to say, getting from the airlock to sickbay is a quite simple task. I think that just double checking. I can't remember where I put sickbay. Okay, yeah, it's a simple walk down the corridor to the nearest turbo lift and down 3 decks. So you will come out. Also, I just love the idea of Lambeth saying, take it easy, get some rest, no stressful situations.
Yeah, which probably leave like a slight eyebrow raise at the whole situation and a small smile. I mean, if you want to take command, Doctor, I'm sure that would leave me with quite the special situation. But I think for the moment,
I feel like you're getting better very quickly at the moment, so that shouldn't be an issue. Look, you're already looking less pale.
She just cracks a grin. Glad to hear it. If you can hand me a pad, please, Doctor, so I can team my work.
Okay, I see what you're doing there. He hands you the pad.
Yeah. She'll just put in a security code in and start just getting to work quietly. Yep. Simple work, simple paperwork.
Yep.
I'll be back in an hour. If you're still doing paperwork, by then I'll make you stop. But otherwise, have at it.
Thank you, Doctor.
As you move away, as you leave her with the pad, Dr. Lambeth, Marple's like, Marple will give you a small aside and say, well, Doctor, you sure that you should move too far away? She might ask you for a pillow next, or a cup of hot coke.
Well, that's your job, isn't it? I've got. I need to go off being eccentric somewhere.
Completely fair. She says with a look that gives you the impression that she's I don't know. She wants to snark back, but the GM can't think of anything to say. Just
Yeah.
yeah. As
Yeah.
the
Also, he will presumably be like looking at the anti-venom
yes, more time for
Doing-
stuff and researching the venom a bit more, doing related things.
Yeah, doing doctor things
Yeah,
off in the corner.
like he's still in visible distance,
Yep.
still in eye shot.
It's a small sick bay. You can't get that far. But as you go off to do some doctor things, Ben, the door to sick bay opens and Lieutenant Shira enters next.
You asked to see me, Captain?
I did.
Are you okay?
Part- I am more than fine. Just
Really?
finishing up
Because-
the whole problem with the with the venom earlier. But I'm fine.
Oh, right. Yeah. Yes. The giant scorpion.
Mm.
Yeah. Wow. That sounds horrible.
Eh. Just a different spot to work on. Pardon me if I don't motion you towards here. If you can come on over here.
Oh, of course.
So, seeing your old ship. Want to
Yes.
see how you're doing.
Nice to see the Epanet again.
She's kind of just gives you like a side eye as she's she's passively working, but she kind of gives you a side eye to try to assess you a little bit.
Yeah, it means ice friender in Andorian.
Mm.
Oh, named after one of the more famous icebreakers, which circumnavigated the globe in the old times.
What do you make of their current captain? Honest question.
Oh.
I wish an honest answer.
Commander Forloff, he's a good captain, a good man. I worked with him for a number of years when I came out of the school.
I know when it comes to archaeotech that things can get a bit. There's a bit of desire, especially when it comes to extremely powerful technology. And one can get a bit fish-eyed or blind to, well, everything. Do you think that the captain would be as such a person?
I think he'd be satisfied to keep it out of the hands of the Vulcans.
But would he want it? Would he insist that it belonged to the Andorians? I'm wondering how much I can trust him, Lieutenant. If we're going to keep this sort of friendship, or I'm as I have looking up possible ideas just in case.
I want to make sure Earth and Andoria get along as well as possible. And Commander Forlov, he's someone you can work with, but he's been at war for a few months. He's probably seen casualty reports, and it's a lot more information than I do about what's happening. So desperate times can make for desperate men. That's not a criticism of the commander at all, nor is it an assessment of his mental state, but
I wouldn't think as such.
Yeah, I'm sure you can imagine if a similar thing were happening to Earth, you might be tempted to risk a bit more than you otherwise would.
There is a very. She just gets very quiet and just sort of focuses on her paperwork for like a long, pregnant silence. I can imagine. Any possible contingencies you can think of that wouldn't be too aggressive? In case.
I mean, as long as we're, I think he'd be happy for information to be shared with him, especially about what's studying. I imagine he'll ask for his people to come along on any away missions. But if he were to try to steal whatever it is, and I have to admit I'm none too clear about whatever it is we are trying to get.
You're just as much in the same spot as I am.
Yeah.
I know
The biggest fear is it falling into the hands of the Vulcans. He won't risk that. And if he sees that as a possibility, then I guess he'll attempt to destroy it rather than let the Vulcans gain that advantage.
My equal fear is that he will try to claim it for the Andorians. And the fact that we don't know what this is hard, makes a hard judgment of whether that should be allowed or not. It could really upset the balance of power, more upset than it already is. Not to mention, in the more simplest terms, the preservation of my crew. I know this is putting you in a very uncomfortable position.
My life has been pretty uncomfortable for the past few months.
I can imagine. And I'm sorry.
That's all right, sir. If I wanted to be comfortable, I would have done another career.
Sometimes the career chooses you. Trust me on that, she says. There's like a very tired smile. All right. If you have any concerns, I'd like to know it beforehand.
Yes, sir.
Work with Romanov on some things on ensuring that we at least have a bit of, I wouldn't say an advantage, but at least an even draw in case the phaser is drawn on us. Please.
Yeah. Well, yeah, if we're lucky, maybe it's just some advanced agricultural technology.
There's like a smirk and a look at you like, yeah, sure.
Yes. What would be in the harm? What would be in the harm in having the ability to create perfectly fertile and healthy planets?
Exactly. I know, right? All right. I'm sorry for this uncomfortable conversation, but might as well bring it up front. Dismissed. Thank you for your time.
Also, just a note, and making sure everybody knows I've seen it at this point, including chat, CaligoTheBlue, our good friend and engineer in the Broken Sword game, has dropped 300 quatlus to decrease the difficulty of your next roll here. I'm only
Thank you, Caligo.
Yes, I'm also going to take the opportunity to give our good friend Caligo a shout out because he's also picked up some streaming recently. Um, and I would highly encourage anybody to check him out, give him a follow, something like that. There's always something weird at the bottom left-hand corner of his screen. It lights up when he says things. And Stream Elements will at some point recognize that. Anyway, yes, let's go on from there. I'm sorry, I've kind of derailed things, including my own train of thought.
No
Ray,
worries, we were
dismiss-
done the scene.
Copy that.
Yeah, I dismissed her after
Yeah.
having the conversation.
Yeah.
And her new assignment, as it were.
Yeah. Shira, would you be going down to locate Romanov then?
Yes.
Okay. Then I think that we should keep following you for just a moment, since you're going to find out. You're going to find your way down to the science lab, where we'll say that a quick check with the bridge tells you that she is in the lab with, it seems, several others. So you can leisurely stroll down, or, well, I guess that would be a question to ask. On your way down there, are there particular thoughts that you are having as you ponder over the issue, as it were, or your last discussion with the captain and everything that's happened to this point?
Yeah, just cursing that various commanding officers have been asking me to do things. Am I prepared to do what it takes for the Andorian Empire? Of course. Am I prepared to do what it takes for the ship? Of course.
Yeah.
These things are currently not mutually exclusive. So this is all fine. I can definitely not see a way this is gonna go really badly wrong.
The captain absolutely. The sessions for a previous discussion, like 6 sections ago, she knows what she's asking. But she's really, really hoping that it won't come to that.
Yes, yeah.
Yep.
Because all she's valuing is just the preservation of her crew and not giving some super weapon over to somebody.
Of course. Whereas, of course, Commander Forlev is asking merely just to, help preserve the Andorian Empire and, stop the hundreds
Stop
of
all the
thousands of deaths and stuff.
Yeah.
That's.
Oh, yep.
Yeah, good times.
Well,
Good times.
Shira, as you ponder that, I'm sure that at this point you sincerely hope this is just a great big piece of farming equipment.
She's willing it to be just a brand new tractor. Wow! Oh, look at this Iconian tractor that's here. Oh.
Yep. And as you think about that, you enter the science lab. Let's see. Brian, Drone, Felix, you've all had a chance to read over the attachment at this point, or the handout, correct?
Hmm.
Yep.
Yep.
Reading it now.
Okay. Let me ask.
I have a little. Yeah.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead there, Brian.
Give me 1 minute.
Okay. So I did want to ask, amongst yourselves, how would you say the tenor of the room has changed, or how do things feel to you at this point?
I would say very contemplative, because depending on how you read it, it changes from like a message of like intrepid exploration, or like going on a new adventure, to like, let's conquer the galaxy. Oh, great!
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely feels like a crossroads moment, pretty much.
Yep.
Like have to go in some direction.
I imagine that someone just says it could just be farming equipment.
Yeah. Let's add some. If you feel comfortable voicing some thoughts to this aloud, then you can go right ahead. If nobody's like immediately there, then I can always jump in with some of the NPCs reacting.
I mean, Thrall would certainly say pretty soon, like, this could go several directions.
Yeah, I think that. Go ahead.
Yeah, that is definitely her take as well, because there's so many elements that could mean more than one thing.
Sloan will just react and say that several different directions. Is that the? She just opens and closes her mouth. I feel like we're understating the situation as she pinches the bridge of her nose here. Is this something
I'm not willing to fully trust this translation, because the Universal Translator is popping up several possibilities. That means that it couldn't identify a specific linguistic chain of
I mean,
interpretation.
it just means that we don't know the circumstances of the language and the way they're written in, and whatever pictograms you might have missed to interpret it properly.
Yes, context is always an important issue. Very interesting to ponder that. Then
Yes, I think what we should definitely take into consideration is all the other facts that we do know that whoever these people were, they protected the Calamese from their very interesting home system, and when they could no longer do so, they provided for them a safe habitat. So
I would
while we
agree.
cannot rule out that whatever it is dangerous, I think we are not looking at conquerors.
Yeah, agreed. From every indication, it seems like these people had, at least from what we can see, some sort of benevolent intentions. So I would, and maybe this is just the hopefulness within me speaking, but I would hope that we're looking at a case where all of these more aggressive possible translations aren't the actual reality of things.
yeah.
Ancient Earth had the same problems translating Mayan pictograms. Something I read about when I was recovering. So I'm in concurrence with their interpretation at the moment. We don't have enough of command of the linguistics to say this is one thing or another. And like you said, it could be a poetic prelude, a statement, about what we're looking at, or the circumstances from which it was born.
I mean, there's
But
also one.
it also has a almost quatrain-like structure in the feel of what was that ancient Earth? There was an ancient Earth seer who wrote in quatrains as well. It seems almost like that too.
Sloan chimes in. I believe you are looking for Nostradamus.
That's the guy.
And he portended no shortage of disaster and catastrophe, I would remind you, which, depending on what we do with this, could very easily come to pass for all of us as well. At this point, I would note, Shira, you have entered the room at this point, and so you are picking up a good bit of what's been said.
Disaster? What disaster?
None as of yet.
Oh, good.
We're in the linguistic translation phase. The Universal Translator is struggling with these pictograms, and we're not sure.
Tablet.
And at that, I will go ahead and make visible this handy dandy item on the side here. That way, let me make sure that okay, let me just shift the.
There's,
Playing the honor code and not looking.
I think now you can. No, you can't look. You
No,
are not allowed.
I'm captain.
You
I'm
are
still
on
in the.
sick leave.
I'm in the sick bay. I'm working on other shit. Like a captain should.
Yeah. At this point, I would say Panda. Like, obviously, your character wouldn't know, but maybe you'll get the Cliff Notes version later on,
Sure. All right.
whenever you're briefed, or if they decide
There's
to
also
pull everybody else in.
there's also one thing we should consider regarding this entire message and its potential intent. And he kind of looks everyone in the face. They're no longer around.
Yes.
Which, from again, Ascension, like he points to the where that says like Ascension, to self-destruction leaves a lot of things open.
Oh, this is quite this is quite a diverse range of interpretations.
Yes, the
Exactly.
beauties of linguism.
This could be really good, or this could be we're going to destroy the galaxy. Okay.
Good, you've caught up.
Good. Well, yeah. Wow. Okay. I'm just checking. The pictograms aren't in Andorian or in human English, right? No little subtitles there.
We missed the subtitles.
I
No.
just check. That is, I mean, if it was in Andorian or human English, I'd be able to help you.
Yeah,
But
the
I'm afraid
picture.
I'm not.
I'm sorry, I should have clarified. When you were handed the pad, you are able to see the translation to it, which I have placed it off to the side. There's also a handout to that effect that obviously you have access to. But yeah, you now see basically, Shira, you can see all the hubbub that everybody's talking about. Um, for those of you that might be listening to this in an audio only format, there is a visible version, but I will read off here the translation as best as they have worked it out from one of the tranches of information seems to pair with the map, suggesting the following. In the tapestry of the cosmos, and then there are three objects in parentheses: quest, path, or campaign. And then closing that segment, to ascension, which once again, three follow-up concepts in parentheses: enlightenment, domination, and mastery. Closing that again. Entwines the bonds forged in another set of concepts: investigation, compassion, and exploitation. Closed again. The three shall enter in another set: alignment, order, alliance. Closed again. Then the next line features three more, or rather another set: mend, bind, or ensnare. Closing that, there is simply the word the, and then another set: lowly, defeated, injured, and that's closed. The line below that is to say, and show strength by another set of concepts: display, yielding, force, closed, of arms. For only in the set strength, harmony, wisdom, closed set, can command our greatest machine, followed by another set of concepts: engine, tool, and weapon. Close set.
Add a character. I want to know. How's the lieutenant's blood pressure doing?
Shira's gonna look up from the pad, and she's gonna go. I'm gonna go for blind optimism on this. In the tapestry of the cosmos, the path to ascension entwines the bonds forged in compassion. The free shall enter in alliance. mend the injured, and show strength by yielding of arms, for only in harmony can command our greatest machine / tool / agricultural implement. Yes.
Feel like I just need to scribble that out in crayon below the translation. Very light blue.
I think we've seen like the previous hints, keys that led us here. They were all from the same people, right? It's not like there were 3 different writing styles, civilizations.
Well, so the markers were left on 3 civilizations, and the indigenous language has been used to quantify some of it, but there's a little bit of symbology, and particularly in the mapping, which suggests information that is relatively common amongst them. So you can get a sense of these are subspace currents, these are stars, and there's kind of an intermix of, or an interplay of things going on here. The tranche that you had here was in ancient Calamese.
Given the if there is a strong consistency of pictographs, would that imply the Calamese were one species? If that can. Or were they 3 species?
I should clarify, the Calamese were the natives of Fomalhaut. The other 2 planets had their own indigenous civilizations.
Do they have anything in common, the indigenous civilizations?
Nothing whatsoever.
It's like 3 shall enter.
Is there any other any pictogram or symbol that was not translated or not translatable during this?
There were a few. So there's nothing in this particular tranche that you had found. There is a noted bit of issue with the mapping process, which is proceeding along. As you may remember, near the end of that part of the Marauders of the Distant Moon, when you were doing the extended task to basically record everything that you had mapped, there was a damaged section of the temple, of the ceiling, which may have taken part of the map in and of itself. And that could have had other text on it, but you just don't know for certain.
Yeah, what I was looking for is any sort of symbol or anything that would maybe be a hint as to what the 3 could be, any sort of 3-sided thing, or something that wasn't translated and was clearly a symbol for something that didn't actually mean a word.
I see. I would say in that case, the answer would be no. The 3 here seems to be. It seems to just be like an artistic flourish of a sort. Whomever recorded this didn't use any. There isn't any indication that they had any supplemental symbology to say that. They must have just figured that whomever was reading this would have the context for themselves. Which, given the nature of the place of record, I suppose, does speak to the idea that whoever put that there thought this would get preserved. And it mostly did.
Is there any sense of time in these pictograms? Past tense, present tense, future tense. These seem more like statements It seems to be indicating a future tense.
Natala kind of strokes her chin a little bit. You mean to say like a sequence of some sort? Or a series of
Sequence?
actions?
Yes. Is there anything we can detect that indicates sequence?
You do raise a very interesting point. There could be something more to why why these express statements were laid out the way that they were.
I mean, in the tapestry of the cosmos, let's choose path to whatever entwines. This could very well be the subspace network that is laid out in all these clues.
As an above board aside here, a little offer. I can color code these statements for you if you would like, giving you the options of blue, red, and yellow. Would you want me to? If you want me to put any words in any particular color scheme, then please let me know, and I can make those changes as we go.
Can we make the aggressive words red just so we we have those ones?
Yeah.
Let's see about that. So, I guess that would be. Would you consider campaign or quest the more aggressive in the first set?
Probably campaign.
Campaign.
Yeah.
Campaign, yeah.
All right.
And then domination, exploitation. Probably order.
I will get this fixed here. And for those of you in the stream, let's see. I'm amending things so that it can be more easily be seen here. I will ask you to bear with me. The visuals might look just a little wonky for a moment. So let's see. Domination, exploitation. Trying to get exploitation here.
Exploitation.
I also apologize if it does look a little weird. The effect doesn't quite line up.
No worries.
Okay, so. And then was that binder and snare on the other?
I feel like ensnare sounds more negative, right? I don't know.
Yeah.
Neither of them are very good.
So ensnare, would you say lowly or defeated?
Defeated?
Defeated, yeah.
And then force, strength, and weapon.
All right. So, yeah, with a few commands in the segment, you are able to highlight what you would see as the most concerning, shall we say, interpretation of the translation. And I'm going to try and fix these whilst you guys discuss. If there are any particular questions you want to put to me or the discussion you have, just at your leisure there.
Not really sure what to discuss.
Do we have,
Yeah,
I don't know
got
if we,
an
Go ahead, sorry.
interpretation of this, and this is just a thought. From a linguistic standpoint, there are, and I'm looking at this from a limited point of view. I am no linguist, but an interest in archaeotech and ancient civilizations. Sometimes the symbology of ancient Egyptians would be interpreted more than one way. And that was okay because the reader would understand it. I guess one of the reasons they had so much trouble interpreting Egyptian hieroglyphics early on. And from a scientific point of view, looking at quantum phenomena, and this is certainly an engineering aspect of things that I deal with, is that particles can sometimes be in more than one state at the same time. So it could be that this thing is saying more than one thing at the same time. But that's just the first thought that popped into my head. So
Is there any way to narrow the language interpretation down? To refine the analysis?
I think I will have Natala give voice to this. It is unfortunately, as I was saying earlier, without more time to analyze these in a broader sample space, then I don't see how we're going to get much better than this. And when I say time, I would be thinking more in the order of weeks, if not months, to fully study this. Ideally, in the sites where these were originally located, which in this
Did we
case,
have? Sorry.
in this case, that of course means an ancient temple deep in a mountain, where there's an ongoing revolution, disturbance, fighting between a military despot and infiltrators from the Vulcan government, and I think we can all agree that we are all quite done with Fomalhaut.
Also, the whole site was buried too. We buried it.
Do we have any writing from the first two places?
You mean writing from the previous two locations?
Yes.
Natala and Sloan can volunteer that information, which I would think that they probably provided to you originally as well, Saral.
Yeah. I just couldn't remember.
Yeah.
So, if we have that writing and have like some sense of translation there, because there's probably a bit more time at hand and more calm while analyzing this, can't we cross-reference the the intention of the message? Like, it wouldn't make sense if the first two were like, oh, we are on the path to ascension and unity and harmony, and the third one is like, conquer the galaxy with the weapon that we've created. So, like, just cross-referencing if we can narrow down the message more according to the messages we already have translated.
Yep. Sloan will kind of sadly shake her head a little bit. I wish it were the case, but this is the first Natala and I have come across anything like this. I know that she said her site on Phalebia didn't seem to have it. The ruins that were present didn't seem to have it. I don't know whether it was a case of erosion or the ancient ones didn't document it. the location I was at on Stamaris, I mean, there just wasn't anything like this there from what was intact. Honestly, I was lucky to be able to excavate the star map as it was.
There goes that idea.
What about looking at this supplementary information that we have? Perhaps going into that may provide keys to the original translation.
The GM does actually note he located the notes, and it just hadn't come up to this point, but there was a third tranche of information that was attached to this that could be decoded if you so wish to engage with it.
I think decoding that trump would be beneficial at this point.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm not sure where to go from here anyway.
Yeah. If you guys want to at any point, if you want me to assign the blue and yellow to any sets of things, I can do that as well. We've at least got one we've got one set identified or fitting here.
One we don't want.
Yeah, I will say that for the other task here, or the other bit of extraneous information, the computers noted that there are some more mathematical elements to this. So near as any translation was at work, but it doesn't necessarily fit in with the stellar data and the subspace data quite the way that you had proposed it. So if you would like, I will ask for either science or engineering as the discipline, and I think reason would be appropriate here. Actually, I think I'm going... Yeah, we'll stick with reason in this case. Insight would kind of work for this, but I think that honestly either would be appropriate, and I would be open to argumentation if you wanted to pick one over the other.
I could take a shot with reason and engineering, and I have both computers and reverse engineering to see if I can get that supplementary information to expand out and translate a little better. Would that be viable?
You can definitely... hold on. Place that question to me just one more time, just to make sure I have a full sense.
So we have this supplementary information. Would it be better to cross-reference that against the original translation, or would it be better to start decoding additional information within that supplementary information, our secondary cache, our that you mentioned?
So what I will say of this particular tranche of information that you have, it seems to be more mathematical in nature. It doesn't quite fit in with the data in terms of like the equations that are going into the subspace map, which is nearing completion at this point. It also doesn't fit in completely. It doesn't have the same poetry or like the same like text quality as to fit in with the statements you had earlier. So it's probably not going to clarify anything there, but it is at least possibly useful information.
And have we actually expanded that out and started throwing it up so that the data is usable by us? I guess that's the question. Do you need a role so that the data is usable?
Yep.
Then that would be reason and engineering computers, or
I would allow
reason.
I would allow computers to apply. I would also say that you may have somebody assist with the disciplines and attributes I listed earlier. You could also have the ship assist with engineering and computers. I will also say, at the top, this would have been a difficulty 4 task to start with. However, thanks to CaligoTheBlue's intervention, the difficulty of
Yay.
this task has been reduced by 1 to a difficulty of 3.
Thank you, Calico. Can I have both, say, Sorrel assist me and the ship?
I would allow that.
Okay, because the neural networks could look over the work that we are doing, so to speak. Okay, then if there's no objection, I'd like to spend 1 momentum, so I'm throwing at least 3 dice on this.
Okay.
We have no momentum.
Oh, that's right.
Are we down to 0?
Yep.
I think we are down to 0 right now. You could always give the GM threat, or you could elect to tap your determination by implementing a value.
I'm going to do that. Every problem has a solution.
That's always a good time-tested sort of one.
So I'm going to tap that. And then I'm going to make a roll with complication range 1 again and a focus of computers. Eula knows she's like zeroed in on this, but Eula knows she's kind of obsessed with Archaeotech.
Yeah, she's Eula's just looking over her shoulder.
Okay, here it comes.
All right, that is 3
Good,
successes
good.
there, so
That's good.
that's enough to get you there.
Okay, plus the 2 determination.
Oh yes, plus the auto crit, so that's 5 successes, 6 from Sabral, and 8 from the ship.
Way to go, Aegis.
Yeah.
Go Aegis! Go Aegis!
Yeah, so let's see, that is going to deal back 5 points of momentum. Let me just get that over to you. I will do that momentarily, but first I'm going to whisper to you, Romanov.
Is that on Discord you be whispering?
It will come in Roll20's chat.
Okay. Okay. When I have that piece of data, I will share it to Sorrel's pad first.
So I guess I will whisper to Sorrel real quick, and then if you want to say anything out loud here, that is...
Kill the Andorian. Well, if you insist. It's a weird move, but okay.
Executing Order 66.
You're not supposed to say it out loud.
I suppose that's all the information we have, and not what the result would be of that.
It simply suggests that at a certain point in space and time, those would be the precise frequencies to attune your deflector.
Is Romanov going to say anything after sharing that, or?
She's just kind of blown away by this because she's still processing it.
Yep. In which case, Fen is going to rustle in and say, "Ooh, I have to know."
Okay.
And he'll snatch.
I'll show him.
Yep.
I'll show him.
Ooh, this is quite interesting. I
Interact with subspace. What does it even mean?
So, if I'm interpreting this correctly, if you were in the right spatial, physical, temporal location, you would know the frequency to interact with something in subspace, possibly even enter subspace, or at least open up the ability to interact. Let's do it at the base level. It's the ability to interact with subspace.
I rather.
Since we're looking at a map, I would almost consider it like a door or a window. But I urge that we all be careful with too much interpretation on that.
I don't think that your explanation sounds unreasonable. Indeed, if the point in subspace, or in normal space, frankly, where this map leads to, has that doorway, then this could be the key, or the knocking part, if you knock on doors. I know that's something that, or the door chime. I know everyone is quite keen on that. Yeah, tell me about it, Sloane says.
I think that's a likely interpretation. This seems to be what the equations, and yes, yeah, it's fascinating.
So then, if it stands to reason that's a doorway, then perhaps that's where we're talking about. That's where we would ultimately go to find this machine. Then.
Machine tool, yeah, machine tool, something constructed. If an object was in subspace, we would not be able to detect it unless we knew the frequencies by which to detect it.
So then we have how to do it. Now we just need a where. And it is at this point that a chime from the computer would indicate that there is that the processing has completed on the star mapping analysis.
Oh god, the plot is advancing.
The plot's advancing. Everybody brace for plot.
Should we move back and forth in our chairs?
What alert color is that?
I don't know. But let's not do that. I don't want to change the light bulbs.
Beige.
Yes.
Beige alert.
I think that might be a condition, Moopsie.
Oh god.
Wasn't that
Quick,
wasn't
somebody throw themselves across the room.
Wasn't that the color of the universe? Beige. If you like even out all the stars and all the light, kind of.
I do not remember for the life of me. But
I think only the koala knows.
Oh man. Oh dear, oh dear. I'm going to have to
What
set
do
up
the calculations say?
Yeah. So with as much as you've been able to narrow things down, the analysis, which I will say may have been helped a little bit by one of your little supplementary tools there, Saral. It does look as though there is a region less than probably about like less than a half light year in total volume where this could be located. Really, probably even smaller than that. That's obviously still a fair amount of space, but compared to where you were to start with, it is definitely much smaller, as that was originally closer to like dozens and dozens of light years around. Um, it is also likely that with the way that your deflector operates, that you would not have to search too long and could probably afford to do so at like bursts of warp to expect some sort of response or something that would help you narrow in. Uh, but yeah, this is given everything, I'd say this is about as like good a result as you could have hoped for.
Uh-huh. Apparently that's where we're heading.
Well,
Romanov will look over at Eula. How's she doing?
She's not the most scientifically inclined person ever, so she's just letting the nerds do their thing. She does seem to be interested in where we're going, though.
speaking of, as there's a realization that all of you, you all know where you're going. I think that eventually, some glances might angle over to the person that could tell the ship where they're going in this room. Uh, Commander Patel, you start feeling eyes on you.
Lots of them.
He's just still engrossed in reading the display and suddenly looks up and everybody's staring at him.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, right.
Well, we're waiting.
He taps a key on the console and opens up a channel to Conley at the helm.
The moment that you move to press for it, like when you connect to the bridge, you hear Crichton starting to speak. It's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, Commander. I was actually just about to get in touch with the captain, but you may want to hear this as well. We've just received a signal. We've just received a signal from the EPINET."
Go on, patch the captain through and give us the rundown.
Okay. So now at this point, the science lab and sick bay are both connected into the bridge line. So all the player characters can hear each other talking in terms of what's going on. Sirs, message from the EPINET, patching through now. The audio cuts through. There's a slight audio cut, and then Commander Thorlov's voice comes over the audio. Aegis, this is the EPINET. I don't know if your sensors have given you an effective readout, but we've had well, I'm going to put this as simply as possible. Along our general course at present at extreme range, I've detected operation of a decipher class vessel. They seem to be running the very high intensity sensor scans throughout throughout local space. We're out of their range at present, given how they're focusing their sensors, but if we get too close, chances are they will detect us.
How long would it take to navigate around?
Well, we could easily move off course, but it would require probably several light years of moving off, or frankly more like a dozen light years of moving off course if we are to avoid that. I'm having my helm relay information now. Creighton says, I'll patch it through to relevant stations. As you can see, they are some ways out, and let me actually move this to the star map I know we should have here. Let's see. Sorry, just one moment. Apologies, everybody. Just getting things resituated. Oop. So, your current position after having been at warp for a little while would put you somewhere hereabouts. Let me get that marked on the map. So let's see. Okay. Sorry guys for a slight delay.
No worries.
No problem. Alaska's going to make a comment. If we interpret the sequence as is, one possible thing is that
I imagine this is above game because you're currently on the mics.
You're not hearing me well?
No. I'm saying I'm assuming this is above game because currently you're on communications with the Ethernet.
Right.
You're saying?
She's going to hold this comment until this is not one that we want.
Can we like do the Star Trek thing where we subtly somehow like let Crichton know to mute the radio while we talk?
Yeah. You would have a mute button if you so wished.
Go ahead.
Okay. I have no validation for the following interpretation. If this is some kind of quatrain, in the tapestry of the cosmos, we have quested and we found the path to ascension, which means to move between different levels, right? And we found and entwine, right? The bonds forged an investigation that is already happening and exploration. The three shall enter in alignment. We have three here: humans, Vulcans, and Andorians. I mean, that's just something that jumped out at me. I have no, it's a thought that occurred to me after seeing these equations.
I like your thinking.
As if three.
I don't know whether it's correct or not.
As if three were meant to operate in conjunction, is what you're saying, it sounds like.
Yes. And if this is something like a quatrain, like it was meant, and that's what we think, it was a message for the future from the writer, then that is a possible interpretation.
But then it begs the question, were they referring to three people, three ships, or three civilizations?
We don't know that because of the elements of unknown in the translation matrices.
I mean,
one
even-
thing we've
even-
got to find out.
Yeah, and we don't have enough of a linguistic cross-section. Zach, so the equations, are they done in a different style of, say, pictographs? Like they have a mathematical language and then they have a written language to communicate over ideas?
I would, let's see. I mean, the alphanumerics are somewhat consistent. I'd say the numerical parts maybe they're a little easier to grasp a hold of. There's less abstraction there, and maybe a little more influence that seems common among them. But
1 is always 1, 2 is always 2,
basically,
pi is always pi.
Yep. Anyway, so you may notice on the map the location of the Aegis there, just a ways out from Fomalhaut. I've placed a Vulcan cruiser there. I will say at present the it's not indicated, but the Andorian ship, the Eponet, is alongside you right now. They're just not depicted right now. But yes.
So the coordinates that we got, we were just about to feed them to the helm. Can I have that sent up to the bridge and see if we changed course to those coordinates, would we skirt past the Vulcans, or are they still going to be in the way?
So,
just as like a course projection, I guess.
Yep. Connolly will very discreetly ensure that it is only mapped to your displays. Captain, you will, well, it may not show up on the captain's map there, per se.
Yeah. It's fine.
I'm going to make this a whole thing, so that purplish zone that has just emerged is the segment of space. And then, let's see here. Let me do one other thing here. As Connolly is mapping that out, he's going to say, "I'm assessing the sensor range of a decipher. Even if they were relatively focused, there's a good chance that they could get a fairly extensive read around their ship. It would be difficult for us to avoid them, though they seem to be moving at fairly slow speeds at the moment."
They're not going to investigate a Starfleet vessel. They will investigate an Andorian vessel. Is there any way we could try to mask the Eponet signature to match something approximately Starfleet-ish?
I mean, do we know if the Vulcans got any communications out at any point? Because they might very well have made Earth involvement public.
From what your logs have suggested, not likely. In fact, they were trying to leave space in order to do as such.
It is also entirely possible right now that they could be, given that they seem to know a little bit of whatever this cosmic mystery was of ours, they could be aiming to, I don't know, trying to run some sort of more prolonged search. We do know that the Vulcans have had other ships operating in this area. Some were in the battle group that engaged our fleet a little ways back. I can tell you too, I have been having my engineers work very hard at trying to mask our signature, or otherwise just try to find some way to deceive the Vulcans. However, much as it pains me to admit, their sensors are fairly effective. I don't know how long that ruse would last.
Given the Eponet is a faster ship, if we continue forward while you rode off the beaten path for a little bit, could you rendezvous again with little difficulty?
I have been considering that, but there's also the dreadful notion that even if we were to do that, the Vulcans are this desperate, and they see you performing any sort of operation in this section, they might try to take a closer look. Risk some sort of confrontation, and frankly, even if they behave in relatively good fashion, I am not keen to give them the chance to engage. Captain, I am prepared to take my ship into battle with them and try to draw them off. I can, as you were saying, take the beaten path or approach from a more oblique course so as to make it look as though we were not so close together, and you can continue on your way.
You have already been in quite the few skirmishes already. I wouldn't want to risk that, especially given the unknown circumstances we're facing. Crew
Captain.
suggestions?
Is the Andorian ship faster than the Vulcan ship?
Although the precise nature of it would be classified, you know that they're pretty comparable. Vulcan ships, I think, generally have an edge in this era. Like, they're known to be able to hit Warp 7 pretty easily, or, well, Warp 7 is like around their upper capability. Andorian ships are just about there. Some of them are a little slower. The Carl
Would it be
IV
possible-
class is an older cruiser, too. Not that you'd know.
Would it be at all possible for the Aegis to somehow help mask the Andorian ship? Like, could we bring them into our warp bubble or something so that they're at least not leaving their own warp trail from an Andorian warp drive?
Mm,
Could we attempt to tow them at warp? That way they don't have to use their warp power.
if the Aegis had a tractor beam, and
Hmm.
then I suppose the Eponet could go completely dark. But that said, you'd be
Does the Eponet have a tractor beam?
the Eponet does have a tractor beam, but you'd basically be trying to drag something through that. I think that given the size of the warp bubble, you'd be talking about maybe sustaining, like, I don't know, warp 1.5, 1.8. You'll make it
that
to your
would take days.
yeah.
That'd take days or weeks to go through.
Yeah. On the plus side, the Vulcans probably won't be there by the time you get there. On the other hand, they might complete their investigation.
Yeah,
Kind of
okay,
old
fair
age.
enough.
Given that we know the location of the possible door object, subspace anomaly, can you ping that on the map?
That would actually be the purplish zone that is that I just
the
made.
purple blob.
Yes,
The pinkish purple blob, right?
Right,
Correct.
right. Just
Given their speed and the way that they're moving, would it be likely to assume they are looking subspace? They could easily be looking space anomalies if they had some idea what they.
Presuming that you are still muted on the line.
Yes, muted, of
Yeah.
course.
Sloane's going to say, they didn't get everything, but they did get a sample of our work when we transmitted to Alpha Centauri, or at least that's reasonable to guess. If they have that, then they might at least know to generally have ships in the area. Hell, they might not. They might even just be trying to find us.
we're not too far from Vega Colony. Is there any other Starfleet vessels in the area?
Let's see. I think that there would be some ships out around or near Vega. Altair isn't also that far off. But like
Yeah,
a lot
I'm
of
just wondering if you could have another Starfleet vessel suddenly appear on their sensors, go in somewhere with purpose, and that makes the Vulcans think, wonder what the humans are up to. And so lead them away on a wild goose chase.
Get distracted easily, though.
Yeah, true.
To be fair, humans are very annoying to work.
Romanov, do we still have the warp-powered probe?
Do we still have our warp-powered probe?
You ejected you ejected the one that you had built, the one as well as the one that you had cobbled together on the fly. You might be able to build another one with more time and.
So the answer is no.
Yeah.
I can improvise one. I still have rocks to replicate us. Depending on what Zach allows bullshit to do with that.
How attached are you to your shuttlecraft?
Rather, I have been thinking if Soral could lure the Vulcans away. I'm not quite sure if I want to do that, but just like spinning off here, if I just go into my shuttle as like, because there's nothing much has happened in there. It's still the same chaotic mess that it has been before. It's still Thrall's helm. The only thing missing is a couple of illegal in quotation marks things. Um, so if he just goes somewhere where we can live with the Vulcans going and just sends out like a distress signal or something.
Yeah, that was my signals making a baby signal, baby call signal.
These are all ideas that you could attempt to persuade the Andorian commander of. I'll say probes definitely off the table. Sorrel's shuttle does exist. Guess you. I don't remember if you still have the Lily on board or if you had to jettison that. This is what happens when it's like
we still
three
have
months.
the Lily. I do believe we still have the Lily.
Yeah. I do think Sloan would be strongly opposed, particularly since that had the rest of the information that the High Command doesn't have.
Right.
Yeah. Thorlov, for his part, will say, "Well, Captain, I do appreciate the supplement, and I understand you wanting us to avoid risk, but, well, as a guardsman, risk is our business sometimes. And if this serves to keep the Vulcans away from that, I am prepared to give you the time that you need. You just don't take so much of it. I'm sure that you could figure out something. Or at least do something so that if nothing can be, if whatever you find proves too dangerous, that it could be a threat to no one else. I'm putting a lot of faith in you on this one, Captain, but I am prepared to do that.
And you have my respect for putting so much faith. Good hunting, Apinet.
Before I go, just as a means to help you in case we should fail and they should attempt to track you down, I do have one condition I would like to set up. I do have a supplemental detachment. I can send you a detachment of guardsmen, some specialized tactical and scientific elements of my crew that could be of assistance. They can liaise with your Lieutenant Shearer.
She'll quickly mute very
Like
briefly
this.
and say,
I like this idea.
You sure?
Sorry, that's me out character.
Inside check.
Inside check. Always inside check.
I'm sure his offer's genuine, but he wants to make sure that we have the best chance of success, and a few Imperial Guardsmen aren't going to be able to cause too much trouble. But,
I mean, I think
we could cause lots of trouble. I mean, no, we should be fine.
I think Soral will actually chime in here. I think it's prudent to see that he's certainly following multiple objectives. While he is supporting us and trying to keep this out of Vulcan hands, I'm also sure they have very clear directives. Should some things not go the way the Andorians would prefer.
She'll unmute. If you feel you can spare a few men, I think the security be greatly appreciated.
I can have them shuttle over very soon. Though I suppose if you, alternatively, if you have your transporter device still functional, then I can have I can supply you with coordinates and have the crew brought aboard.
Bold of your troops for wanting to use that. Certainly, we can arrange that.
It's not an ideal circumstance, Captain. It's just the one that we have, given difficult conditions. Sometimes we need to improvise.
Understood. And again, Captain, good hunting.
Indeed. Apenet out. All right. But yeah, at the moment, the line is still connecting the bridge and sick bay, and the science lab. Crichton will say, "Sirs, Epinet is relaying coordinates. I will go ahead and put that through to the transporter room. I still have you connected with everyone, so I believe that everybody can still hear. Any orders you want to relay? Any discussion? Yeah, I'm just going to."
Appreciate it. Stand ready to, for the moment, red alert. Condition red, she says. Correct yourself.
Again. All right. Let's see. And this one's just going to be for the. This one's just going to be for those of you in the stream and in the archive. I haven't found a way to set this up for. Geez, what is it? I haven't found a way to set this up yet in a proper MP3 file, so eventually we will have it there. Action stations. All hands, man your action stations. Set to condition red. Right, there you go. So, as alarm klaxon sounds off and the light bulbs change, yeah, you guys have a moment to talk amongst yourselves.
Yeah. I take it you've already deciphered as much as you can from the ruins.
Yeah, this is about as good as it gets. Good.
Transferred over to my pad.
Sending now.
Huh, of course. It can never be that easy, can it?
Yep.
You know it.
For your part, Doctor, I'm going to say that it was sent to a sickbay computer as well, so you get to read over the delightful element there.
Ah, wonderful.
Only our ship is aware of this?
So far, yes.
All right. There's a lot of notations about 3. I'm certainly curious about that, but a subspace door chime sounds pretty on point.
It is a viable explanation for what we're looking at.
I would like a little more clarity of what exactly is on the other end of this, but I guess it's never going to be just that easy. And if it is, it's always a major concern. All right. Do what you can to try to clean up what a little more. Romanov, I need you back in engineering.
Yeah, I'm about to head down there.
Shira, Patel, need you back on the bridge. And certainly I'm going to get up there myself.
You find strength and coordination are returning to your legs as the anti-venom has had some time to work.
Doctors, I apologize for all this geopolitical situation that is interfering with your discovery. I'll try not to create as much of a mess as last time.
I think that we'll all be happy when we put that behind us, and if we can just get to some exploration, profound discovery, not blowing everything up, I think everybody would like that.
Trust me, I would be the first one. I'll see all of you on the bridge or in your stations.
Captain, one last thing.
Yes?
Can we pass across to the EPENET the designs for the caltrop?
I like to keep my secrets, my bag of secrets, pretty closed, but sure. Go ahead and send it over.
Thank you, sir.
I'll see you on the bridge. And she'll cut the signal.
apologize to everybody in stream who only got the super close-up visual of the display there. That is just the GM, not bearing in mind the zooms. Before we break off, I think, was somebody else saying something, or did anybody else want to interject with anything?
I will add a message added to the signal that says from toys from captain to captain.
Gotcha.
Let's keep it as such.
Okay. So, and then I guess the other question would be, as people start going to tend to their other things, or going to stations, is there anything anyone else would want to do or say to each other? Anything else anyone can think of right now?
She'll just stop Alaska for a second.
Yeah.
Look, you study all this ancient stuff, archaeotech things.
Yeah.
You think this could be peaceful?
Okay, one thing I didn't say in the meetings is that imagine you are an alien race and you suddenly find the Aegis. You might look at it from the point of view that it's dangerous and it's an exploration vessel at the same time because it has weapons, right?
Yeah.
So I think we have to keep that in mind. Subspace weapons, I can't even conceive of what something like that would be like from a engineering physics point of view. But I think this is something different. I think this is something ancient. It could be, if it opens a doorway, what if it opens a doorway into subspace? So subspace is kind of like a honeycomb. At the lower levels, theoretically, there's other dimension. But if you open a doorway, it's possibly a tunnel. But this is speculation. Could it be a engineering feat in subspace? Yeah, it's possible. There's just not enough to go on. But remember, a warp engine can be as much for discovery as it can be.
Oh, I'm hoping it's nothing too frightening.
I hope not too. I gotta run. I gotta get down to engineering.
Okay.
So you can get a squeeze on the shoulder and run like hell. And jump into one of the ladder to get to engineering as fast as possible.
Yep.
Through circuitous.
Romanov just parkours down the throughout the bowels of the ship.
Parkour.
Exactly.
Well, did anybody else want to add any other parting notes? Well, hearing none, I think then it is best to leave off with Romanov running down the ship and Shira pondering what could the possibilities of what could be and what they will discover.
Subspace agricultural equipment. Subspace agricultural.
Space tractor. Space tractor.
Space tractor.
All of which we will find out next time when we go on to part 3 of Star Trek Adventures Aegis and the Great Space Tractor. Damn it! I mean the Great Machine. Damn it! Now I need to toss out the Space Tractor plot contingency.
No.
Nice job. Tell you what, non-zero chance it will be a Space Tractor. Anyway,
we'll be back in 2 weeks, won't we?
This is where to surprise us. You reveal that it's actually a space combine harvester.
Ooh.
In any case, whatever might be behind the machine, for those on the recording, this is where we are going to leave off. And for everybody else as a whole, certainly for the stream, Craig, you were right on the money. We are going to be off one more week. There's a planned scheduling commitment that will keep me from being present next weekend. So we will be coming back on. We will be coming back on October 14th for the continuation of this game. And we hope you'll join us then if you want to keep up. You can follow us on different social medias, join our Discord. You can, of course, catch up with the archive. If you were here for the start of the stream, then you might remember the handy-dandy set of commands that Mr. Creighton elucidated on at the top there. They're also in the panels below. One other programming note. Aegis will be off until the 14th, as mentioned. Star Trek Adventures Broken Sword, I can announce, is also set to come back. I think we are looking at... it will be that same week, October 11th. Just getting a few things squared away for that second season now. So, I do want to say I appreciate everybody's patience through the whole situation. I am doing much better, and I am glad everybody was willing to come back, check things out, and we hope you enjoyed.
Oh
Yeah.
That was a great session.
Yeah, I think we'll go ahead and close out here. Let's see. I don't think we'll worry. I'll just. We won't worry about a raid tonight, so I'm just going to say, you folks all have a good rest of your day, and we will join you again in a couple weeks. Till then, so long.